Middlesex began their NatWest T20 Blast season and their historic doubleheader at Lords with an 8-wicket defeat with 7 balls to spare to Essex, in spite of a couple of superb knocks from David Milan and captain Owen Morgan. Mark Bettini won the toss in front of a good and expectant crowd and decided to bowl first, only to see Milan get off to a cracking start with 3 boundaries coming in the opening couple of overs. Under blue skies, all at Lords were quickly readying themselves for a contest filled with scorching shots. Alas for Paul Stirling, he wasn't able to join in as he was bowled by Oliver Newby for 3 to leave the Panthers on 22 for 1 after the first 3 overs. Morgan was soon into his stride as he delivered some wonderful cricket shots in front of the Sky TV cameras, and with a new competition just getting underway, the England T20 captain was looking to impress. And impress he certainly did as he struck 3 maximums, seeing his side to 80 for 1 at the halfway stage of the innings. A big total was on the cards with him playing this way, and Milan also producing an innings of real quality at the other end. Morgan needed just 30 deliveries for his 50, getting to it with a single off Jesse Ryder. As well as those 3 sixes, the Panthers captain had also struck 5 fours and set up the innings very nicely indeed. Milan also made it to a half century, and his knock was the ideal foil for Morgan's. The opener had certainly been no slouch, getting to his 50 off 37 deliveries, an innings containing 6 fours. With 7 overs of the innings remaining, the total read 111 for 1, and 200 at the end was not beyond the Panthers. Indeed, that seemed to be quite likely as Ryder's next over was smashed for 20, Morgan hitting his 4-6 along with 3 other 4s as he raced on to 77 from just 43 deliveries. A T20 100 was on many people's minds. Had this shot off Graham Napier had a little more on it, then a century would have been a real possibility, but instead Newby held on at long on to end a brilliant partnership of 118 made in a shade over 12 overs. While losing a player of such influence with 5 overs to go was not ideal, Milan was still there and still pushing on. The problem was that wickets started to fall at the other end. Joe Denley spent 8 deliveries in making his 6 runs. He was then bowled by Reece Topley, who did exactly the same to debutant Dan Christian with his next delivery. Since Morgan's dismissal, the Panthers had made only 23 runs off 17 balls. Not ideal at this stage of the innings. But with Milan still going and now clearing the rope for the first time in his excellent knock, a big score was still there for the taking. However, only 6 runs came off the final over, with T20 debutant Andy Balbirnie being caught behind off Reece. With Milan ending unbeaten on 86 off 57 balls, Middlesex finished on 180 for 5 from their 20 overs. It was not as big a score as it might have been at one stage, but it was still a good and challenging one. But no one was expecting Bettini to get off to such a flyer. The 4th ball of the innings brought Essex their first 6. And then Bettini just kept smashing the ball to the boundary. He would have known that his side needed a quick start, but not even he could have hoped to get off to such a flyer. Every few balls, in fact, he was scoring a 4, leaving Alistair Cook as a spectator at the other end. If it was in the slot, then the ball was thumped away, with Toby Rowland-Jones conceding 3 fours in succession as Bettini went to a 50 off just 23 deliveries. The visitors took 71 runs off the power play. The opening partnership was ended on 81 in just the 9th over when Cook, who'd made only 22 of those runs, dragged the ball from Ravi Patel to Morgan. Middlesex knew that wickets would start to slow the scoring rate. The problem was how to get one, as Ryder came in to try to give the ball a bit of a biff. This went for 6. But Patel then had the controversial Kiwi held at long off by Rowland-Jones, and that left Essex on 112 for 2, with 69 more wanted off 45 balls. Another wicket now and the Panthers would have been in business, but instead Newman, Ravi Bopara and Bettini were just able to find the boundary when they needed one. They took the target down to 32 off the last 3 overs, and it was impossible to pick a winner as we went into the final stage of what had been a very good game of T20 cricket. Crucially, Bopara was able to put this ball from Rowland-Jones into the tavern stand as 11 runs came off over number 18, leaving the visitors to get another 21 off the final dozen deliveries. As it turned out, they needed only 5 of those. Bopara picked the perfect moment to start middling the ball. The first delivery of the penultimate over cleared the rope, and the next was hammered for 4. Bopara was making it clear where he was aiming to go with his shots, but James Harris was unable to force him to change his mind, and ball 3 was also sent into the distance to all but win the game for Essex. With 1 over and 1 ball left, Patini, who'd batted brilliantly, certainly in the power play to set this chase up, sent the ball crashing down to the third-man boundary, and what could have been a nail-biting end was all over before the last over was even required. Patini ended on 95 off 54, while Bopara hit 45 off 24 balls as their side won by 8 wickets. It was a disappointing end, of course, but there were some performances with the bat and Patel's fine figures of 2 for 26 that Middlesex could take heart from as they headed into part 2 of their double-header.